With just 2 events left in Marble Invite Season 3, the Time Watchers have a foot in the door, a hand already on the trophy with a 29-point lead over second place Grayscales, third place Poseidons, and now Pixies, who have launched up into 4th. Those and the Starlights are also pretty close. The home team, those 5 are at the 100-point mark, but still 29 points to the Grayscales as we come into Event 11, the extraordinaire bracket event of curling. And I'm joined in the commentary box by Ramen Powder today for this, what is sure to be a fantastic event.
Yes, indeed. Ever the classic in the Born Network, although our hosts have no experience in this event in the Born Network's Marble Championship. But, as you may know, the curling score, each marble will go one at a time, one by one for the teams, so they'll alternate, and they'll score from 0 to 5 points depending on where they rest on the curling board. There you can see the standings, the Time Watchers, a full 29 points ahead of the Grayscales, 31 ahead of the Poseidons. Both of those 2 championship challengers didn't do well in the last event, but the Pixies now on 4th with a gold from the biathlon. And we're going to get started with the Scorpions and the Whitecaps. No demo run here. Arthropod will start us off here and rest in the blue ring. That'll be 1 point for them.
And a lovely graphic at the top of the screen showing us where the colours are, where each marble is situated in the house as the event goes on. The Whitecaps get their first member down and they get a nice 2-pointer as the Scorpion's second one comes around, wraps around his teammate, curls back in for another blue shot. That's 2-2. Second shot now, Wit from the Whitecaps, and another one on the white, 4-2. Whitecaps looking very strong here. Oh, and there's a nice play by the Scorpions, knocking the Whitecaps senseless and bring the score back down to 2-1. They've regained the lead there, and the Whitecaps whirligig is going to respond with yet another one in the white ring. It's wiggling toward the blue, but is in the white. That's 2-3, and a bit of a miss there, but it's going to be another lead regained just for the Scorpions. No, sorry, it's a tie. 3-3. A knock between the Whitecaps teammates. What does that do for the score? They've knocked themselves out.
And a huge mistake at the end there. The Whitecaps had an opportunity to bring that score into their favor after it was tied, but the Scorpions will come away with the victory there by 1 point over the Whitecaps. Now straight into heat number 2. No rest for the weary. Pi can't find the house here. Off to the far side. Now Tsunami has an open opportunity to score here. They'll get on the red. 3 points for them. Now Cupcake, how will they respond? Will they knock them out? Yes, they will. Off the red. They will rest on the 1 themselves, but Poseidon still have the lead. But it was only come down to 1 point now. Is that lead? And a mistake there from Atlantic. Pushes their teammate off, and they're completely blank now. 1-0 to Pastry Party. Cake now will try to score here, and they're extending that lead for them.
Oh, and there's the strike back from Trinit from the Poseidons to bring the gap down back to 1-0 to the Poseidons. They've taken the lead. It's interesting, getting in the house, getting into those middle rings earlier seems to be dangerous, as in comes Pastry Party for their final. Their anchor knocks in and does take the lead, but a wonderful final shot from Neptune gets the Poseidons at the advancement in another 3-2 win, and they have advanced to try and perhaps put some pressure on the Time Watchers. They have to advance now to keep it up, and here they go, lined up in Heat 3. But it's interesting, going into the earlier, like getting into the red or even the button on the first few runs could be dangerous, because it leaves you open for an easy knockout from the later contenders. As down comes the first of each competitor, and the Time Watchers' first runner misses the house as River from Aquatics makes it 2-0. So a good start, but there you go, getting early on in the middle, knocks them back toward the 1, and it's 1-0 to the Aquatics as their second number comes down with Aquify.
And they will score here. The Aquatics, rivals with the Time Watchers, back from last season. These are the only 2 teams that returned from Season 2. Knocked the Abstract Aquatics, does Luna. Still, advantage Aquatics here. Time Watchers need to get on the board themselves. As Abstract Aquatic, is that going to be 1? Yes, it will. 2-0 now to the Aquatics. Kronos, the captain of the Time Watchers. They'll nudge their teammate, but both of them don't find the house here. Caustic of the Abstract Aquatics, as long as they don't make a mistake, and they won't, it's going to be a demolition to the Time Watchers. Abstract Aquatics 3-0 to them against the Time Watchers. This now opens the door massively to the other championship challengers from second on down. Now Laser Eyes and the Starlights in 5th place in the championship. If they can advance here, they have a great chance of staying in contention heading into the finale. But we'll see what they can do here against the Laser Eyes. The Laser Eyes started with the 2, knocked out now into the 1. Starlights have the advantage.
it's game on for this title. And the Starlights, although are up against a team that have competed in this event before, the Laser Eyes have competed in a curling in their local league, but the Starlights currently are 1-0 down as a result. It's 2 in the white for each team. The Laser Eyes now with their third runner, Laser, and it's a button strike! 8-2 for the Laser Eyes. Can they hold that in the middle? The Starlights and Laser Eyes, they'll just have to avoid each other if they're going to keep that button strike though. It's 8-3. Starlights have a mountain to climb. They'll have to knock out the Laser Eyes. They don't do it themselves, and they peel in for a 2. It's 10-3 on the board. What can the Centauri, the anchor for the Starlights, do? They knock out that middle marble, but that button for the Laser Eyes is going to be a solid victory. 8-4. A 4 deficit. That is not good for the Starlights. But they do score 4 points, so they won't fall too far down in the order, but they can't take advantage of the Time Watchers' struggle, of the Time Watchers failing to advance. That's one team already out of it. Although Poseidon's advancing, they could be in with a good shout, as could the Pixies if they can get a run on the Green Dragons. 2 of our green teams lining up. Pixies, their first marble does get in that blue outer ring as Spyro comes down and makes it and responds nicely with the white inner ring. 2-1 to the Green Dragons after the first runners.
Yes, and the Pixies, after a golden biathlon, this is also an event where their captain Pixie has done many times collision curling in the Cold Score Marble Championship, but it's knotted right now. After 4 marbles, the second Green Dragon can't do much here. Fairy will try to get on the house. The marbles in the opposite sides of the house on the blue ring. And a 3-point for Fairy there, but completely knocked out by Smog and brings back down to 1-1 here. What can the captain of the Pixies do? Pixie, the experienced marble in this event, they will rest on the white ring. 3-1. Toothless needs to respond with something here. They notch off their teammate, can't find the house, and it's going to be futile for the Green Dragons. The Pixies, after winning the last event, they have a shot here to catch the Time Watchers. They are going to advance to the quarterfinals. Now, Electric Energy and the Blue Moons here. Blue Moons, also a team experienced in this event from the Marble Sports Games. Electric Energy will find the house in the 1-point ring with their first marble. Blue Moons, this is going to be a great button strike here for the first marble, but that's early on, so that could be knocked out early on here.
There are still 5 more marbles to come down that could knock into that button striker, including some of the Blue Moon's teammates, but what a wonderful run that was by Azure of the Blue Moons, knocking out both Electric Energy. It's a 5-1 lead so far for the Blue Moons. Down comes Voltage, third member of Electric Energy, can't make anything happen. It's still 5-1. Blue Moon's Knight comes down now again, misses their teammate critically, can't quite find the house, but still a massive lead for the Blue Moons. It's looking good here. Energy's final marble comes down and cannot hit that marble out of the house. It's only 2-5. Blue Moons, Eclipses has to miss their teammate and can't do it. They've knocked themselves out of not only the house, but I think the event as well, because Energy are closer to the button and win on the tie break. Oh dear, what a miss by the Blue Moons. It was all looking so good, and they're out in the heats, and Electric Energy have snuck through despite being so far down on the table. They're going to be counting their lucky stars. The Blue Moons choked that one. As we move on to the Heat 7 Grayscales, of course, second place in the championship, fighting the Golden Cheeses, who have done this event before. They're one of the best seeded in terms of curling history, and the Grayscales clearly inexperienced, already knocking themselves and the Cheeses out of the house. It's 0-0 at the second marble for the Cheeses. Elemental comes down and makes it 3, or is that 2-0? 2-0 after the halfway point.
What can Grey do? They nudge off their teammate. They're going to get across the button. I think that will be a 3 though. But now it's advantage Grayscales here. They need to advance here to gain on the Time Watcher. Cheddar will rest on the 1-point ring. It's tie game now, but the Grayscales have the distance to the button. What can Shady do? The captain of the Grayscales, they'll knock out their teammate, and a critical mistake there. Now Mozzarella, all they need to do is not make a huge mistake. Similarly, and they won't. It does knock out them the teammate off, but it's still good enough to keep them with 2 points. And that mistake by the Grayscales captain just killed their run. It was looking very close between the two teams at that point, but the Golden Cheeses will get a much needed advancement. And the Grayscales, oh, that is heartbreaking for them, a team in second place in the championship. But now we march on to the final heat. John Jolts will rest on the 3 with their first marble, completely knocked out by Coconut of the King Crabs.
Still a 1-0 lead though, as down comes the second marble to knock, almost rattle their teammate around, and it's made it back to a 0-0 game. The house is now completely open for Yeti. Can they take full advantage? Pretty well they do. They'll get up to a 2-point lead with the outer white ring. Now comes the second half of this one. Ampere of John Jolt, member 3, nudges off the King Crabs and gets up to a 1-2. They've halved the deficit, and King Crabs have completely messed it up. They've knocked it down to a 1-1. Now it's an even game with just 1 marble each to go, and Volt knocks out their teammate, who I think think has rolled back in. Yes, it's 2-1. King Crab Fiddler, the final marble to try and win the game, and can't quite do it. It's going to be 2-1 still to the Jawn Jolts. They will advance, but by the slimmest of margins. Look how close it is at the top of the house there. That is about millimeters from being out of the board, and King Crabs would have won on a tiebreaker being closer to the button. So Jawn Jolts millimeters away, they advance there. King Crabs meanwhile 13th, but look at the bottom two. Bottom two in the table is the top two in the standings. So it's a big chance for Poseidons and Pixies need to take full advantage here as they're the two big teams that advanced.
Yeah, the bottom half scored by 0.4 instead of points differential. That killed the Time Watchers, getting dead last in this event. Now, the Poseidons critically third place in the championship, the only one of the top three to move on here, but they have the Scorperiors to face here in curling. And they'll start off with the 2. What can Tsunami do? Start off in the 1 here, but they're at the center of the house at the front, and they're both knocked off by Pincer here. It's now a dead heat here, 0-all, as Atlantic now has an easy opportunity to score points here. They'll also come to the front of the house, also in a position to be knocked, and Jab does it once again, but nice curl back for that one Poseidon, and they're now into the 3-point ring. Trident is going to try to not knock them out, and they do a very good job of that, and the Poseidons are now up 3-0 here. Salamander can't do anything here. That's the last Scorperior done. Neptune, all they need to do is avoid their teammate, and they do that very well. The Poseidons, a comfortable victory here, 4-0 to them, and they are making a title charge here. 2 goals on the season in this second half. And they're the only ones in the top 3 that are going on, not just to the quarterfinals, but also to the semifinals. Now, Abstract Aquatics and the Laser Eyes here, but the Poseidons, what a run they are making here in this late part of the tournament.
Yeah, it still might be too early to be saying title charge. Let's get into the final, but before that, let's see how the Abstract Aquatics and Laser Eyes do. Let's not forget how far ahead the Time Watchers are. They are getting a 0 here, but they're still 31 points provisionally clear of the Poseidons as Laser Eyes. Their second marble comes down and knocks their 2 score down to a 1. It's even Stevens halfway through as Bubble comes down for the Aquatics and can't find the house. In fact, almost knocks out their teammate, and now they're inches away, and Laser Eyes come down and does knock them out, and now it's a 2-0 advantage. A big swing there for the Laser Eyes. Aquatics can't do anything about it. Laser Eyes should have wrapped this up crystal clear unless some magic happens in the top right corner of the house and they knock themselves out, but they can't bring the Aquatics into it. In fact, actually, sorry, they have. It's 1-1. Who's closer to the button? And it is the Laser Eyes, but that is close. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. The Laser Eyes only just get through on a tie break closer to the button. Chaos in the top right. It did happen, but it wasn't quite enough for the Abstract Aquatics. They have crashed out here. As the Pixies, here we are, the other big name in this event so far, line up against Electric Energy, and both of the first 2 marbles can't make anything happen in the house. Nymph comes down now for the Pixies in marble 2. What can they do? They've curled back towards the red, and they settled in the red. That's a great run for the Pixies. 3-0 so far. Will they get knocked out? Yes! It's still game on for this semi-final. Quarterfinal, sorry.
And a complete dead heat here now for Fairy to curl onto the white here, but they're in the front of the house. Very dangerous position there. He can easily be knocked out, but Voltage can't quite do it. They will score 1 point, but they're still at a deficit here to the Pixies. The captain is going to try to avoid their teammate, and they do that very nicely. And now the Electric Energy need to make some magic happen here, and they almost get on the blue, but it's not going to be enough. And the Pixies have done enough and are going on to the semifinals here. The Pixies, that 3rd marble is what did it. With all of the marbles off the house there, they had an easy chance to get on the house there, and none of the other marbles could do anything. And now, onto the final quarterfinal here, the Golden Cheeses and the Jawn Jolts, both bottom half teams in the standings, both cannot win the championship, but both are vying for a decent result overall. And it's going to be 2-1 after the first 2 marbles here to the Golden Cheeses. It's going to be 4-1 now. The Golden Cheeses getting a high score early on. What can the Jawn Jolts do to respond?
They've responded well. They've nudged the Golden Cheeses. They still do have the lead of the Cheeses, but now it's only 4-3 with all 4 marbles in the house as the Cheeses knock themselves out akin to what they saw the Grayscales do in their heat. It's now 3-2 to the Jawn Jolts. They've pulled it back through a mistake to the Cheeses, and they pulled it into the white. It's 2-4 now. The Jawn Jolts just 1 marble to go. Here comes the final one for the Cheeses. They wrap into the house and make it an even game. It's 4-4, but the Cheeses would win on that tiebreaker. Jawn Jolts make a play, and it does not work out at all. The Golden Cheeses win on 4-2. The Jawn Jolts, there was a collision effect, a chain reaction that knocked out their teammates when they tried to knock out the Cheeses, and it worked out very well. Cheeses held firm there in the house, and they advanced to the semi-finals, one of their highest positions of the season so far. Jawn Jolts will get 5th for that score, getting 2 points. Aquatics and Energy in 6th and 7th, and Scorpirius round out 8th. But now we move on to the top 4. Of course, all 4 of these teams actually have curling experience. No wonder they've all made it this far. But can Golden Cheeses, the number 1 seed, go all the way, or can Poseidons and Pixies, could they be the finalists to take it to the Time Watchers, as Poseidons face off first against the Laser Eyes? Tsunami does get one into the house, lesser of the Laser Eyes comes down, and we have 1 on the board each, and it's 1-1 on the scoreboard as well.
Here comes Atlantic, trying to curl onto the red. Oh, it's going to be very close, but that's going to be on the white here. Still in a position to be knocked out, but Lazar can't quite do it, can't find the house at all, in fact. And now Poseidons have a comfortable advantage here. As long as they don't make a mistake, they do knock their teammate, though. They curl back into the 1, but that's a 1-point loss from what they had before. And a huge hit there by Laser. Great hit, and it brings it down to a tie game here. 1-1 here. Neptune, the captain of the Poseidons, has the chance to curl on the white here. That brings it back up to a 3. Can Loser do something here? It'll be on the blue. It's not going to be enough. They tried it valiantly, but the Poseidons, that 2-pointer with their captain, will seal it for them, and they are going on to the final. Our 3rd place team in the championship here. They're certainly going to jump the grayscales here and going to close that gap to the Time Watchers. But we'll see who'll join them between the Pixies and the Golden Cheeses here. 2 of our most experienced, 2 of our most revered teams in curling here, and the Pixies are up by 1 point after the first marbles.
2 very revered teams, but of course only one can advance. Could you imagine the Pixies and the Poseidons? It's already looking like that's going to happen, but the Golden Cheeses knockout, it was a 4-0 lead to the Pixies. It's cut down to just a 1-0 now with that one very good strike by the Cheeses, but the Pixies respond beautifully back into the white. It's 3-0 again to the Pixies. The Cheeses can't quite make the contact this time, and they slip back out of the house. 3 marbles have gone for each team, and it's 3-0 to the Pixies. Golden Cheeses have to make a play here. The Pixies, very clever curling there, but they can't get any points out of it. Mozzarella will have to knock down 3 out, and they do, but they can't hit the house themselves. It's a 1-0 win to the Pixies. It would have been 3, but it does not matter. Pixies and Poseidons are our 2 finalists. They're both going to gain so much ground on the Time Watchers, but who's going to gain more? And who's going to really have that big chance going to the final? That really is a title fight going on now here, Ramen. What a surprise.
Yes, indeed, but before that, we have the Golden Cheeses and the Laser Eyes for the lowest step of the podium here. Parmesan will not find the house. What can Laser do? These 2 teams from the Quadrilla Marble League and the 3D Chaos League experience in this event, but only one can stand on the podium here today. Emontal will nudge their teammate. I think that's in the 1, and that's our first score here in this match. Lazar will try to score on the red, not quite though, but on the white here, and now advantage Laser Eyes. Completely knocked out though by Cheddar.
And now it's 1-0 to the Cheeses with, I believe, two of the Laser Eyes still to go. But they wrap back in and they almost score on the button and they knock the Cheeses out. It's a complete swing. 1-0 to the Cheeses becomes 3-0 to the Laser Eyes. Oh, and Mozzarella cannot do anything. Stopped by the Laser Eyes in the top corner of outside the house. It's going to be a dominant finish here in the bronze medal match. Laser Eyes 4-0, beating out the Golden Cheeses, who will miss the podium again, unfortunately. And Laser Eyes will finish out this event with a bronze medal. We've got an all cat eye podium here, interestingly, but who's going to come out on top between Pixies and Poseidons, and who's going to really be that one step closer to the Time Watchers? One of these teams also will be our first team to crack 3 gold medals, so a lot on the line here. Pixies first marble can't even hit the house, and Tsunami comes down for Poseidons. It's 1 marble for each, and it's 2-0 to the Poseidons.
Here comes Nymph on the blue, try to curl back into the white, can't quite do it. What can Atlantic do? Will nudge the Pixies, neither will find the house. That was almost dangerous, almost knocked the Pixies into the house. But Fairy now tries to go the other way around, trying to avoid their teammate. That works out very well for them. They get into the blue, and the Poseidons, though, are responding beautifully. 2 on the white now, 4-2 to the Poseidons. Here comes the captain of the Pixies. No. They'll knock out their teammate. They'll knock out a Poseidon. That's a marble on the blue there. It's back to tie game, and Neptune, the captain of the Poseidons, is going to curl on the white here, and that will do it for them. That is the game for the Poseidons, and they will capture their 3rd gold of the season. It was back and forth between these 2 teams. They gave it their everything here in curling, but the Poseidons were 1 step ahead, and by 4-2 here, they will capture gold in curling.
Now, no, we're all waiting for. Congratulations to our top 3 podium teams, the blue, green, and red cat eye representatives for this competition. But how close is that gap to the Time Watchers. Which of these teams can still win this tournament, aside from the Time Watchers? Who can stick it to them in the final event as we celebrate our podium finishes? Poseidons, who were really quite the force all the way throughout. That 4-0 win in the quarterfinals was just incredible. And Pixies and Laser Eyes, all three of these teams, of course, with the experience in this event, that really did shine through in the end, with all the top 4 were experienced, talented teams in this event. But now we look, of course, to the overall standings. I believe that is 3 teams can still win this tournament. Time Watchers, only 6 points. 6 points is the gap between them and the Poseidons. It's a 2-horse race now. Will Pixies have an outside shot? Starlights and Grayscales can still make the podium, but it remains to be seen. How will it all pan out in the grand finale, the piece de resistance of Marble Invite Season 3, the marathon? We will see you in a few days, in fact, for that one.